And of course, that means the Culinary Showboat Theater show on KROS is on the air this morning. We have a room full of guests. James Beaudry with us, a couple of the stars you'll see in Church Basement Ladies coming up tonight. And James, almost through with the season. Seems like you just got here yesterday. Has it gone as fast for you as it seems like for everybody else?
Yes and no. It's gone very fast. And I can't believe we're on show 4 already. But at the same time, every show has been in a different location, so it feels kind of compartmentalized, because we were by the river, and then we were by the bandshell, and then we were back in the boat, and now this is the first time we've done a changeover from the same space into the same space. So it's exciting, but it also feels crazy because we just said goodbye to about 13 people who were in the cast of All Shook Up.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's why Silver Theater works, and you worked in that for a number of years, up at Timberlake and elsewhere. Is that the typical way it works? At some point, most of the company leaves, or in some cases they stay around through the entire summer?
Well, typically you have people stay around longer, but there were so many rules that have changed from when we started planning back in November, when it was a completely different world. So we looked at one point about having a different cast for every show, because there were going to be rules about who could spend time together and who, you'd have to be in a bubble and not go outside. And then
distancing,
and then that kind of relaxed. So then we looked at sort of like a cast for the first show, and then keeping All Shook Up and Smokey Joe's Cafe the same people. And then that kind of relaxed more. So we have a few people who are going from one show to the next. Ava Schmidt has been in Smokey Joe's and All Shook Up, and is also in Church Basement Ladies. And Lisa, who's here, and Fall Fishman are the other two who were in All Shook Up and Church Basement Ladies. And then we have 2 new cast members, Nancy and Autumn, for Church Basement Ladies. And then for the last show, Constellations,
completely
2
new
people
cast
who are not in anything else. So long way to answer your question. No, usually you have one group of people who kind of do everything, and you bring in 1 or 2 here and there. But this is kind of the opposite of that.
They make it go back to January, February, when you were putting this all together. Did you have like a whiteboard and you were putting names in and erasing names and
sort of. There's a lot of if-then. Like, if this person says yes, then we're going to offer to this person. But if this person says no, then we're going to offer to this person and not this person. This person's backup is going to come in. And it gets to do with age, Like, Lisa plays Ava's mother in this, and Lisa isn't old enough to be Ava's mother in real life. So depending on who...
That's not necessarily true, actually. I'm absolutely old enough to be her mother.
Okay.
But
well,
I don't look it. Thank you.
But, you've got to pair people by ages, and, if this person is, if an actor is 6'3", like the lead in All Shook Up was, you may have a bunch of people who are great for the lead opposite. But if you have somebody who's 5 feet tall next to someone who's 6'3", it's going to look a little bit ridiculous. So you think about lots of different things, but mostly it comes down to talent, and those weird particulars kind of just help make a decision for you, but they don't really dictate it.
Hey, obviously, says you mentioned All Shook Up got done. Did that show? That was kind of the long show of the summer.
Yeah.
Was it a good turnout?
Yeah, great response. Huge houses every night. Sold a lot of tickets. People had a great time. They were happy to be back inside. And it's just, the music is Elvis, so people are familiar with it. But the script is so fun and so funny that it just added up to a great evening where you left feeling good. And a lot of people came back and saw it twice.
Yes.
So it was a really wonderful
The audiences were very responsive. It was a great experience,
And Church Basement Ladies, I understand what you're trying to say, and I've seen you on social media, says you're sold out tonight. If somebody wants to come tonight, stay home. I hate to say that, but you're not going to get a ticket.
Well, get your tickets for one of the other nights.
Yeah. Come get tickets for a future show.
Yeah. There are 8 or 9 other performances, and you can get tickets for all of them. But tonight is completely sold out. We sold the last single seat yesterday. If you're desperate to see it tonight, you could come and wait and see if somebody doesn't show up. But I wouldn't recommend it. Just buy a ticket for tomorrow.
Did you expect Church-Based Ladies is a show for many people are familiar with?
Mhm.
Does that make it an easy show? We'll talk to the actors too, but does that make it an easy show to do because people are familiar with it?
No, I think it makes it harder actually, because people have expectations and you have to meet them or manage those expectations. And it's a show that, I mean, I know people from the area who saw a production I worked on 13 years ago and can remember specific things about it. I mean, probably better than I can remember specific things about it, and are so excited to come back and see it again in a new version. And so there's that kind of audience. And then there's the audience who just loves theater and wants to see something and maybe have never seen it. And then there's the Lutherans who are real nostalgic for what it's actually about, you know, because it's such a slice of life of a specific time and place that's just so sunny and heartwarming and nostalgic that, you know, it keeps people coming back.
I'm going to have Lisa Wipperling,
You got
Nancy Teerlinck with us, and you're Lisa then.
Yes, I am.
We'll start there since you already piped in, and then we'll get to Nancy in a minute. But
Okay.
how'd you get here?
How did I
I
get?
just drive a car to the studio, but
Yeah.
what's your
Yeah,
acting
okay.
background?
Well, I've been acting for, several decades. But I was a teacher first. I taught 6th or 12th grade vocal music for almost a decade and directed plays and musicals, and then got into theater the back way. Was a director first. So, but I've been acting for a couple decades, and just I met Jim through Western Illinois University. He came to the university to audition students, and I just looked at a season to see if there would be any openings for little old me, and there was. So I was like, I'll just give it a shot, and met him through that way. And so I had heard of the Clinton Showboat, but I had never been. So it's really nice to be here. It's been a great experience.
What shows have you been in? What roles attracted you? Says, oh, I can do this, and I can.
Well, I'm kind of in midlife. You know, I'm not like the 20-year-olds, and so I have to look for like roles that would fit that age, that my type. So we look at those kinds of things, and so I was just looking for roles that I might be able to fit, depending on what Jim said. You know, if I would fit with the cast, I obviously wouldn't know who else he'd be casting, but I could fit depending on what cast he put in.
What did you fit?
Oh,
What roles did you fit?
Oh, so well, I in All Shook Up, I played the mayor, so the unlikable character, the one that wants no one to dance and no one to neck, and by the end of the show falls in love just like every other character. And in this show, I am playing Karin, the mother of Signe, and not the head in the kitchen yet, but hopefully will graduate into being the head of the kitchen at some point.
Commission says you got to act in the back way. Why? Why did you stay in directing or teaching and things like that? What got you to go, I want to be on the stage instead of telling people what to do? I want to be told what to do.
I've always loved being on the stage, but it was not a thing that I knew I could make money doing at one point. So it was like, okay, let's go into teaching. Let's do the thing that I know I can make money at. And my parents were supportive in that way. So, but so it became a summer thing. Let's do this in the summers whenever possible. And so I still do that. I teach at the university level and do this in the summers. So.
What's it like teaching? Does that help your teaching to actually, to do some of the things?
I always say I'm my best actor when I'm my best teacher when I'm acting, because I teach acting students. So I'm my best teacher when I'm acting, and I'm my best actor when I'm teaching. So.
Do you think the students listen to you a little more when you could say, "I've done it"?
Absolutely.
I know I know what it is to be on the stage. Listen to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, they'll listen as much as they'll want to listen, but yeah, it can be helpful just to share experience.
The difference is there a difference between that high school and middle school to college students. I don't know if I want to ask that.
Oh, I mean, I've taught the gamut. I taught K through 12 for a while. So yeah, I mean, every age student is a little different, but they all have their curiosities and interests and just wide-eyed. I love the aha moments. the moments when something clicks that didn't click before. Yeah.
And Nancy,
Yes.
how'd you end up on the stage?
Well, I've been here before.
Oh, have you?
Yes. So when James took over, then I got a hold of him, and same thing as Lisa. You look, I'm unfortunately one of the older ones in the cast, but this time not the oldest. So that's a
Yay.
plus, even though it's second. So yes, you have to look for those roles that you're now fitting. And yeah, there was this one, and bingo.
What kind of other shows have you done? Where at?
Well, I've been all over, but yeah, up here I did Bridges of Madison County, and I did Cabaret. So yeah.
Have you done? I mean, is this how many years have you done acting? How many,
Boy. Well, I started as a child. Okay, and
This
then
is like just a few years
just
ago?
like 10, 15 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, and then real life took over, and I decided to become a flight nurse. So I did that, and still kind of acted here and there, but not in a full-time capacity, clearly. And kids came and things like that. And then once I retired, it was like, well, guess what? It's coming again. So I've been, doing this more and more since the retirement. So
Have either one of you been in Church Basement Ladies before?
No.
No.
But one of our cast members has.
Mhm.
Autumn Orion has been in 7 tours of Church Basement Ladies.
From the standpoint says you're on stage, does that make a difference working with someone who's done it? Or even though you've done the show, maybe you've got a different director, different way to look at it, different.
Yeah,
Does that make it harder or easier?
I think every version of a show is a very different take. I think you follow the director's lead and what their vision is for the show, and you make that world what the world is that we're all living in. So,
and I think every director loves to find that heart of what the show is and focus on that. And that is director to director. Whatever they feel, they want to project in what these women are.
And of course, Showboat, a familiar name, Jay Burkow, is directing this show.
Yeah.
yes.
And since he's not here, he didn't come to the door to defend himself. How's it working with Jay? Because I know he was the artistic director for 7-8 years or so, a few cycles ago.
Jay's great.
He's fantastic.
Yes. Go ahead.
It's been a great time working with him. He loves his bits, so there are bits in the show that we had a lot of fun trying to build. But he just really wants to bring out the heart in the show as much as possible, and I think that we've felt that just the camaraderie between the actors and bringing the relationships out as much as possible. I hope that people coming to see the show will see that.
There is a journey with these women. There's definite journey of where they start and how this goes through them and where we end up.
And have you either worked with Jay before anywhere?
No.
Just
New experience.
Jumped in and here he was.
Yep.
Knew
of
him, but never under his direction. No.
I thought you might have, because he was here. I thought maybe you might have run into him from Western Illinois.
No, I have not until now.
You mentioned that when you're thrown in here, I'll say you were here for shows. How is it just all of a sudden rehearsing a show and you're 3 other people, or 4 if you throw the pastor in? All of a sudden you have to be a team. How does that work?
I mean, it's the world of
Yeah.
building a show. You come in day one, with bells on your toes, ready to go, and just you jump head in.
And that alone is a process. It's not only the process of what's on stage, but what is happening off stage with all of us informing what we need to form to present it on stage and have it be realistic and not just look like acting. There has to be a definite bond there between the actors to make it real.
You have to actually get along with the other people.
Yes, you do.
And the technical staff is crucial in building the story.
And they
absolutely
are
crucial.
Fabulous. That this whole group that we have had through this process has just been amazing from top all the way down. It's just been a fabulous experience.
Yes.
I think.
I agree. But for example, this is a very prop heavy show, and we have real sugar and flour and fish and salt and all of these things are flying all over the set, and just trying to figure out what goes where and how to get things cleaned up, and the technical craft.
Lots of movement, lots of choreography,
yes,
lots of props.
But it's been really fun.
Yeah.
In doing this, you mentioned, do you have to, do the four of you have to do things off the stage to get that on the stage camaraderie? Or,
I mean, just during the rehearsal process, you form that. You start to see that because you're with each other all day long. So, yes, I mean, it definitely, starts that process, just being together, going to lunch, sharing rides, just everyday things.
And in doing shows, there's, and I don't know how much the pastor's on, but there's the four women in the show. And doing other shows, does it make it harder or easier when there's only four people to worry about, from your standpoint, three other people to kind of track where they are on the stage and that, or is it easier when there's a bigger cast that's all shook up where you can kind of hide if you need to?
That's interesting. I feel like you get closest with the people you have the most work to do with, and in All Shook Up, I had a sidekick that would follow me around for most of the show, and he and I spoke about how we didn't have many scenes with anyone else in the show, but we were together, and so we bonded really strongly. But in Church Basement Ladies, we're all on stage almost the whole show.
Yeah.
So I mean, I feel like all of us have bonded a lot in this particular process,
and including Fall.
Yeah.
I mean, even though he's not one of the women, he is a very crucial part of the show.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're all just right there together. So he's just the perfect pastor. He's just doing such a great job. And I think everybody that has a pastor will see that in him, as I think that everybody, whether it's a church group or a group of friends or, any group that you belong to, you are going to see people that in real life on this stage as a character. They're all in there.
Whether you've been to the Lutheran kitchen or not, you're going to recognize them.
That's right. That's right.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. That's so true, because yesterday when I was watching the dress rehearsal, I realized Mavis is Anne Marie from my parents' church. like a particular person. And I was like, oh, that's absolutely her. I'm sure she's not listening because she's in Ohio. But I had that realization. And I think Mavis is like the most, she's so specific in what, and I won't give anything away, but I just thought, oh, that's so funny. Because I was worried. I was like, is the costume a little over the top at one point? And I was like, no, it's not.
No, it's not.
Absolutely what she wears to the events that I've been at. Anyway.
I have an aunt that wears exactly what she would wear as well. So totally understand.
Yeah. When James talked a little bit about this, you're doing a show that people know. Many people know, maybe they haven't been, but has a reputation. If they haven't seen it, they kind of have in their mind what it's going to be. How do you meet those expectations?
I guess I just hope we do.
Yeah, I don't know how.
I mean, I think because of the long-standing, the tradition of this show, my hope is that it's the writing and if we're holding true to what it is, what the show is, I think it will sustain. Because it's lasted so long and so many people have done this show, I trust that we have a show.
Yes, and that hopefully people will come with an open mind with, this is a different production, so it is going to be a little, you're not going to get Church Basement Ladies the same every time.
But it's still the same songs. It's still the script.
It's heart
of
it. Yes.
Yeah.
Would you do this as your work the show? Do you get some input on your character? And like James says, I know this person. As you do these characters, maybe if you haven't done the show before, it takes somebody says, oh, I know this person. I know what they would do here, and it's not this, but it's that. Can you work that in? Do you kind of know who these people are?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And here's the problem with me.
That's Nancy, by the way.
Here we go.
Here we go. Okay, so
she knows Mavis.
Mavis, well, here's why. Mavis, farmer's wife, check. Grandmother, check. Horrible hot flashes, check. And as the director puts it, wingnut, check. So it really was not, it's not a big stretch for me.
You fit.
I kind of fit that. Jim kind of typecast, I'm just saying.
Lisa, what about you? Did you start to recognize
Well, I've
other people? Says, I know, like James said, I recognize that this is so and so.
Sure. I feel like when I go into any character, I find the things that I can relate to that make that character human. And though I've never been a real life mother, I play a lot of mothers, and I feel that's kind of a place where I sit. And so being a mother to a daughter in this show, I feel I really resonate with that part of it. I've been a part of a church my entire life, and I have an aunt and uncle that are ELCA Lutheran pastors, and you look a lot like my aunt in how you dress, and I feel very comfortable in this world that the play is in, and feel that yes, I can identify with a lot of this, and feel that other people can identify because of how human it feels to me as well.
Now, again, both of you says first time on well, you were on the Showboat stage before?
Yes.
So
Yes.
how is it this time being on the stage? Does it feel familiar?
Oh, the boat is one of my favorite all-time places to work. I just love it up here, between the people that are brought together for the actual productions and the audiences. I mean, you can just feel these audiences up here. It's amazing. When you're on stage, you feel them, and that really drives you to do, a great show for people. But yeah, I mean, I literally cried. I live like an hour away from here, but I cried coming up here because of the year off. And it's like, Here we go again. And then I get to do the boat, the first show. So yeah.
You're good. What about you, Lisa? You were on All Shook Up. You're in this one. What's it like being on the stage in that setting?
No, I agree with you. The audiences here are very, very loving, and you can feel the energy and the heart from them. So it just makes wanting to perform for them even stronger.
People always talk about it. It's a small setting compared to many.
It's intimate, but it's large enough.
That's
it's an intimate space, but it's a really a well-crafted space. I don't know if that's the right way to say it or not.
And it feels bigger when you're on stage. It's like you're looking out there, and it's like, oh, there's like 600 people here because of that heart coming to you.
Yeah.
James, what about, obviously your first time through here. You're familiar with Summer Theater and work on the Showboat. You got a couple of shows inside. What's it feel like from your position? Actually, now planning the old summer outside. Now you get to see a show inside.
It's so interesting because I always relate. This is kind of strange, maybe, but I came to directing from choreography, and space is so important. To storytelling, and the space that you're doing a play in, or the space where you're hearing music, is so important to what it looks or feels or sounds like. And something I love about summer theater is that when you're doing a lot of different things in the same space, you have to be real thoughtful about how does this show that's a piano, fit in the same space. A piano with 5 people in a very realistic set fit in the same space as All Shook Up. There was 15 people and a huge rock band and all of these locations and motorcycles and all of this stuff. And so what is the feeling? And so putting all of these departments and how loud is it versus the space, and how does it feel when you walk in, and does it feel inevitable that this show would be in this space.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the hard part, because people are always like, how do you put the big show in the small space? And you just have to be creative, and that's what we do. But the fun thing about summer theater is the audience goes in, it's the same space, but it's a completely different world every time they come back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been really fun for me, for the first time, going from All Shook Up to Church Basement Ladies, and seeing how the designers have made this whole world. And it works so beautifully. And it feels huge. I don't want to give away too much about the set, but the set design is really kind of brilliant. And it feels like an enormous space. Whereas if you looked at the set for All Shook Up, it felt very small,
Yes.
even though it's taking up the same amount of space. It just, the way you can change it, that's the magic of theater. And I think for audiences who come back, and see 5 shows a summer, or even if they just see 1 show a summer, part of the excitement is walking in and saying, what did they do now?
Yeah.
And that's fun for me as a producer, and then that gives the actors a playground for the story to unfold.
Yeah.
We'll put you on the spot for a minute. Says, now you got to stay present because it's this year, but how much you already kind of announced what you're working on for next summer?
Yeah.
Has your mind jumped to, I got to do this, I got to find this, I got to do auditions for next summer yet? They're laughing.
Yes and no. I mean, we've pretty much chosen next summer. We're still waiting for some contracts to come through. But there's only 1 show next summer that I'm like, how are we going to do that in that space? But that's the fun, figuring that out.
Yeah.
I usually won't choose a show if I'm programming a season if I can't go, okay, I know how that fits in that space. Because people will be like, that's a great show, let's do it. But you have to think about how many cast members, and do those cast members.
Can you get the helicopter in the space?
Right. Yeah. And then are the shows different enough to create variety, which is something really cool this year, especially being outside for the first 2 shows, that like Always Patsy Cline and Smokey Joe's Cafe and All Shook Up and Church Basement Ladies and Constellations, which is coming up in 2 weeks. They're all so different, even though the first 3 have like contemporary popular, 50 years ago popular music. Like every show has been a completely different experience. And so that's what I look for next year too. And do I know, or am I excited about figuring out how to make that world happen in the space that we have with the resources we have? And I'm very excited about what we're looking at. And so that's fun. And it's a lot of work, but it's also fun. It's what I love to do. So.
And so you're getting all set a few weeks from now. Then you'll start thinking about actors and who can you get. And
yeah, and it's human nature, I think, to plan and go, okay, this person's going to do this, and this person's going to do this, and this person's going to do this. But you also have to be patient and not jump to conclusions, because then you get to auditions and you find people like everyone I found this year. I mean, I hired 3 actors I worked with before out of all of the seasons. And so like I know 4 people I could call and they'd be here in 24 hours to play Patsy Cline. But Claire was somebody that she had worked at the Showboat before. I didn't know her. And she was amazing, So if you start just being like, well, I know who could do this, I know who could do this. Yeah, they could, but maybe that's not the best person to do it. So I try really hard to not make any offers until it's the season to make the offers, because you could regret what you offer. Somebody comes along. I mean, Jay Sean, who played Henrietta and Fergus in All Shook Up and almost stole the show with 1 solo. Jay Sean sent me a video audition, and I was pretty sure I knew who I was going to cast, and then I looked at the video. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then I accidentally deleted the link, and then I couldn't find the video. So I had to email Jay Sean and say, I'm really sorry, but can you send me that video again? Because I needed to watch it. So it was this whole farce of like, who is this person? But we've got to hire Jay Sean because Jay Sean is amazing. And so those moments when you're casting and somebody just shows up and you're like, that person, you know, that's exciting. That's the fun of it.
And Lisa and Nancy may know a little bit of this. When you look for next year or the next job, how do you go about that? What do you mentioned I kind of look for roles, but where do you look? What do you look for? Where, you know, do you scan the want ads?
Well, there are what we call casting calls.
And how far are you willing to go? Are you willing to go anywhere in the country for a job?
I mean, I am. I don't know if you are.
Yeah, with me, and of course, like I said, the age I am now, the roles, I am grateful for any role I get because clearly I am past the ingenue, and which I never was anyway. So the old roles for older women become less and less and less, you know, because the shows just aren't normally about those. So I have to be very specific in what I'm looking for. And just given the point of life, we're kind of that sandwich generation right now where we have older parents, younger kids, now grandkids. My space of where I can go is not as far as it used to be. So I'm a little bit sticking closer to home. You know, I'm willing to travel, but it can't be in California or New York. So.
And Lisa, you're willing to go. You said you'd go anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of regional theaters that will house you and sometimes even feed you, just depending on where you go. And so I'm willing to go anywhere. So yeah.
Actually, how was back? Says I know it says for most folks it was a year and a half off.
Yeah.
Tough to get back on stage after kind of being forced out for a while.
Not tough, just excited to get back on
excited
stage.
and getting, I mean, it did take, you know, a little bit to get that muscle memory going again of, oh, you know, we got to get going here and stuff. But yeah, I mean, what a glorious feeling stepping on that stage for the first time again. It was, no words can describe it. When you've been doing it, it's just, and to step on this stage, like I said, with this production company is just heaven.
About you, Lisa?
Yeah, no, I'm very, very thankful that theater is coming back and that we are able to be a part of this process.
Good. James, get tickets for the Church Basement Ladies.
Yes, get them early because you can't get in tonight. But you can't.
You can't.
Sold out tonight.
There's no seats left, which is a really great problem for us to have. But seats are available. What is today? Today's Thursday.
Today's Thursday,
Friday
opening night.
Friday and Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Sunday at 3, and then next week also.
So ready to go?
Yeah.
And then get your tickets for the next show.
Constellations, which is a really cool play. It feels like you're watching a Netflix bingeable TV series, but on stage in real time, so it's even more magical.
We'd like to thank James Beaudry for bringing in Lisa Wipperling and Nancy Teerlinck for our show this morning, and get down to see Church Basement Ladies for the second to last show, fourth show of the summer.
Yes.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
At the same time, crammed into the